Want to hear how a squirrel and a man named Henry killed my fish? Stay tuned. No, this isn't a joke. And no, there wasn't actually anybody named Henry in the fish room. But by the end of it, you'll see my entire colony of L201 snowball plecos is gone. Tons of work on breeding, the juveniles, future breeders, all of them just gone. And it's not just the plecos, the barbs that were in the tank, tetras, the other fish that were in that tank wiped out. And the chain of events, it all started with a squirrel. Today, I'm going to explain exactly what happened, the science behind it, and what I'm looking to do to try to make sure it doesn't happen again. Because if you keep fish, this could happen to you. If you're new here, I keep and breed a wide variety of freshwater fish, including plecos, barbs, live bears, and various other species in this dedicated fish room. It's a fish building. And today's video is one of the hardest videos I've had to make. I lost my entire colony of L201 snowball plecos. If you know plecos, you know these are not fish you replace by going to your local pet store typically. It takes a while to find them. It takes a while, even years, for them to grow. And their plecos are not a cheap fish. Now the 201s aren't like super expensive like a zebra pleco, but they're still, more than your bristlenose and your common plecos and clown plecos. They're a little more pricey. And building a breeding colony takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of effort. And you put a lot into it. This wasn't due to disease. It wasn't due to water quality issues. It wasn't because I fed them the wrong fish or there was some mistake like that. It was because of a squirrel. Well, at least the event started with a squirrel. Let me explain the whole thing. My fish room is housed in this insulated metal building. The walls, the roof, even the floor is metal with foam insulation and then more metal. The floor is made a little different, but basically it's a big metal building. And it works well, and I've even mentioned in the wintertime, it works too well. It holds the heat in better than I want it to. In the summertime, I've got my AC unit back there just cranking away, keeping it cool. Cool is a relative term. In here, the coolest it will ever get is 75 degrees. Typically, we're running about 77, 78. Very often, 80 to 82 degrees Fahrenheit. And that's with my air conditioner running good. And that's good for the tanks. They stay warm, stable, productive. The room contains a lot of water, and that increases the humidity, keeps the humidity high. The tank that we're talking about, they housed 201 plecos, the snowball plecos, a colony of breeding barbs, some tetras, some loaches, and other fish. The tank was super heavily stocked. And it was this way because a lot of those fish I was planning on moving out to the summer tubs or into other tanks when those tanks became free after putting fish out for summer tubs. Normally having this tank so heavily stocked like this isn't a problem. I've got sponge filters in there to do the filtering, and it's powered by a extremely high powered or heavy duty linear piston air pump. This air pump is gauged at running about 80 tanks, and I don't have 80 tanks, so it puts out extra air into the water and keeps everything alive. No problem. So, the other day, while I was at work, a mischievous little squirrel decided it wanted to climb into a local electrical substation. This electrical substation is one of those fenced-in facilities with transformers and power equipment and all of that stuff in there. And this specific substation controls the power for basically this whole county. It controls the power for the town that I live in, the town west of here, all the areas in between, a large area, relatively speaking, of course. So this squirrel caused a major power outage. It got in there and it set this substation on fire. 3 fire departments were dispatched to it. But what that meant for me was I'm at work. I'm an hour and a half on a good day away from here, and the power goes out. And it's like 85 to 87 degrees outside, bright sunny day, and the electric goes out in here. And that means no lights, no air conditioner, no air pump, no filtration. And it wasn't a quick power outage. It didn't come back on in a couple minutes. It didn't come back on in a couple hours. The power was out for approximately 12 hours. And you know, I don't think about that type of thing happening when it's a bright, sunny day, 85 or 87 degrees outside. It's like a summer day. It's pretty. There's no storms, no snow, no ice, nothing like that. Yeah, I have a generator. Yeah, I have battery backup pumps for my tanks. But you know, the power being out on a day, well, like today's a sunny day like that too, it wouldn't be a problem really. I even commented to somebody, I was like, the main issue is worrying about the fish get too cold. And it's hot outside, so they're not going to get too cold. They can go a long time without air, without their heaters in the tank, because it's summer. They don't need the heaters in the tank. But 12 hours doesn't sound like long to go without air, without filtration. I know I've had tanks to do it before with no problem. But in this specific fish room, on this specific day, in that specific tank, remind you, a heavily overstocked tank, in this metal building, in upper 80 degree temperature outside, It was a problem. So you may say, well, if it's only 85 outside, the fish room could get to 85. Well, have you ever been inside of a metal storage building that's been sitting out in the sun? You open the doors to go in and it's not the same temperature as outside. It's hotter. It's quite a bit hotter. I mean, this building has a roof that's probably 16 feet by maybe 15 feet. I mean, that's a large surface area of metal to catch the heat from the sun. And not just that, but the walls are catching the heat from the sun. And you all know what metal does when it gets set out in the sun. It gets hot, and it lets heat into the building. And being insulated the way that it is, it holds the heat. You know, if I had exhaust fans going, it would help. But without power, they weren't going to do anything. And with no air conditioner removing the heat, the internal temperature of this building can raise quite significantly. So I did some calculations because I was at work. I wasn't in the building to take the temperature. In here, the temperature can get, in a normal situation, 80 to 82 degrees. That's with the air conditioner running. So if we cut power at that point to 80 or 82 degrees, you cut the power, but the sun is still beaming down on the building, what could the temperature in here get to? What would the fish need to deal with? So doing the calculations, best case scenario was he got into the 90s in here. There's about a 68% chance that he got above 110 in the building. This fish room with all these tanks in here, this high level of humidity, probably got to 110 degrees inside the building. So as the room temperature rose, the water temperature rose also. And that's where we started with the problem. So why does the water temperature go up? Did the water get to 110 degrees? Did the water get to 120 degrees? Well, I mentioned a guy named Henry, right? Where does he come into play? So, specifically, we're talking about William Henry. He came up with something called Henry's Law. And Henry's Law is basically the gas solubility law in chemistry. And it states the amount of gas dissolved in a liquid depends on the pressure and the temperature. So to put it in a simple way, for us fish keepers, what we need to remember, the warmer the water, the less oxygen is in the water. And the warmer the water, the faster the metabolism of the fish goes. So the fish are going to need to breathe more, and there's less oxygen. So you would normally just add an air pump, right? Air stone. But when there's no power, you can't run it. When you're not home, you can't start your generator to kick your air pumps on. That's a dangerous combination. No air pumps, no bubbles, no surface agitation, no gas exchange. In a lightly stocked tank, like most of my tanks in here, the fish might struggle a little bit, but they do fine. In a heavily overstocked tank, Yeah, the water runs out of oxygen. It's depleted really quickly. And then what happens? Fish drown. Yeah, the fish drown. There's no oxygen in the water, and we can't breathe under the water, and when there's no oxygen in the water, the fish can't breathe underwater. And that's what happened. So my L201 snowballs, they're incredible fish. Beautiful. Valuable. If you haven't seen them, they're black with big white spots on them. They're awesome. I even picked up a few more like last weekend. Had them set up, breeding, all that. Awesome stuff. It's not the fish that you'd want to lose. And plecos are often thought as very hardy, but they do require good oxygenation. They require air in the water, oxygen in the water. Because most plecos come from environments with warm water, but fast-moving currents. And the fast-moving currents adds a lot of oxygen into the water, dissolves that air down into the water, and gives them a lot to breathe. So they don't do well in low oxygen environments. Take away the current, take away the oxygen, and they crash quickly. Then you got the barbs and the other fish. The plecos are stressing out, they're using up all the air. Then the barbs and tetras and loaches, they hit the same wall. There was a colony of barbs that worked for years on end. The 201s, I'd had them for years also. It's not about the money. But then again, at the same time, it was a lot of money. I didn't even think that it would be an issue. I thought everybody's going to be fine when I come here. Some of my fry trays that I had fry in, I thought I might lose those, and I did. But I hate to lose any fish, but I expect, so sometimes I lose fry. So I wasn't too hurt when I lost those trays of fry. I had worked for months on those fry, but oh well, I couldn't have done anything right. Then when I turned and saw all the dead plecos, it gets you. It's like you feel something up in your throat. You're like, oh, that's, not to belittle life or anything, but thinking about the amount of money I have put into all those plecos, and there's 1 gone, and 2 gone, 5 gone, 10 gone. But by the time I got home, even if I had known something was going on, it would have been too late. The damage was done. And I don't know if I would have felt better if it was because of a disease. I'm like, okay, I can fix this next time. I just need this medicine. And, if it was for neglect, and I was like, okay, it's my fault because I did this and this and this, and I had the water wrong or something. But who would have guessed on a beautiful, clear, sunny day, 85 to 87 degrees outside, not a cloud, not a single clap of thunder, not a snowflake or anything, that you'd be dealing with a power outage all day long. I mean, it started early and it went well into the night too. I mean, how do you counteract this chain reaction? Oxygen depletion, the heating of the building, the dumb little squirrel getting in the power station. and you all probably saw the video where I dealt with the winter storm and I was getting prepared for everything, and I got a new generator. I got the battery backups that run on the D cell batteries. And, you know, what am I going to do to heat the building when it gets too cold and stuff? I have that. You know. But the problem is, I have to be here to turn the battery pumps on and stick them in the tanks. I have to be here to start the generator. I have to be here to try to open the door to get the heat out. I mean, I don't know how you cool it down without power. You'd have to have, you know, the generator going. I don't. What I need is some sort of automatic system so that if I'm traveling, I mean, I could have been at a convention. I could have went to Aquashella or something and been gone for days. And this happened. I could have been at the ACA convention. I could have been on a vacation with the family. I need some sort of system that detects the power outage and instantly takes over. So I'm kind of on the fence of what I'm going to do. I'm looking into the rechargeable pass-through battery pumps. I've got one laying around here. It's like the ones the aquarium co-op sells that you can plug in and it charges up the battery in it, but it can still use it as a pump in the meantime. And when it loses the charge coming into it, it still runs for a while. But I've got like 40 something tanks. That's a lot of individual pumps to put out there. Another idea is a pure sine wave UPS. So no, not the big brown trucks. UPS is an uninterruptible power supply. So they're mainly used, I mean, the idea of what I see most people use them for is like on computer systems. That when they lose power, your computer doesn't automatically shut down. It runs for a little bit on that battery backup. So what you would do is you'd plug your device into it, say my air pump, and it stays plugged in that UPS all the time. And the UPS remains plugged in the wall. During a normal day, the power goes straight through, goes to the pump, and keeps it going. But when the power goes off, the batteries in the UPS kicks on immediately, powers it, and I don't have to be here to start it. There's no kicking off and back on. There's no gaps. It just keeps running. The problem, the pump that I use is the LA80. It's a large linear air piston. Yeah, linear air piston pump. Linear piston air pump. And it draws about 86 watts. And because of the magnetic components and the motors and stuff, it needs that pure sine wave. And most of the UPSs that you can get would run it for a few minutes. That is going to help me. But if I get, there's some out there that I might can get that could run it for 2 hours. That wouldn't help with a 12-hour incident like what I had here. But it might buy me some time. So I might end up going with something like that. People have mentioned in the past about getting solar. But then you're kind of, if it goes out because of a storm, there's not going to be sunshine like it was this time. So the solar, you're kind of putting all your bets on everything working out perfectly for that condition. And that's not what I want to do either. But my goal for what I need to do, I need to get something so if the power goes out while I'm away, The air pump keeps running. Buy me some time. Losing my L201 snowball plecos, it hurt. It hurt emotionally because it's fish that I have babied for years. It's fish that I have really grown attached to and really enjoyed keeping. And it hurt the wallet. You know, the idea that I would breed these fish and be able to recoup the hundreds and hundreds of dollars of money that I spent on them. Even a portion of it. And all that's just gone in a day because of a squirrel. But if sharing this story prevents even one hobbyist from going through the same thing, then something good can come from it. I don't know what the right answer is for fixing this in my fish room. First off, I'm not going to overstock like that. Power outages happen. Storms happen. Equipment fails. And apparently, psycho squirrels happen. The question, is your fish room ready? If you've ever lost fish due to a power outage, let me know in the comments. I mean, I know that we've talked about generators on this channel. We've talked about battery backups. We've talked about heat sinks and stuff like that for the winter. But what solution is there for the summer? Your power goes out and we're in a tin or it's not tin, it's steel. We're in a metal building that turns into an oven. How do I fix that when I'm not here? I mean, when I'm here, okay, start the generator up and get going. Everything's good as gold. If you found this video helpful or interesting or even entertaining, give me a thumbs up and subscribe. It helps the channel out. And maybe it'll bring, a little bit out of this catastrophe. And if your fish room depends on electricity, which I think they all kind of do, don't wait until it's too late. Don't wait until disaster strikes. Learn from my mistakes. That's why I tell you about them. So that you can learn about them. Learn from them. Because sometimes all it takes is a psycho squirrel to take all your precious plecos away. Or whatever fish you're into. Alright. Leave me some comments down below. What should I do? This sucked. I'll see you next time.